Which defense should you target and who should you avoid for Week 11 of the NFL season? We'll go over all of that in this week's episode of Pick 3 DST. As a reminder, these are not my full weekly DST rankings. If you want to check those out, you can click the link below, which will take you to my article, which I update as the week goes on when we get weather updates and injury concerns and things of that nature. We're going to start, as always, with our accountability check. And what was a solid Week 10 for us? Our stud defense, the Los Angeles Chargers, scored 9 points, which you're pretty happy about, but it wasn't exactly the smash performance that we thought they were going to have. Our sleeper defense, the Los Angeles Rams, scored 8 points against the Dolphins, which you're pretty happy about as well. And then the matchup that we faded, the Pittsburgh Steelers, scored just 5 points, so you're pretty happy that you avoided that one. However, our solid defense, the Chicago Bears, dropped the ball in a matchup against the Patriots and scored just 4 points. So no really elite plays there, no plays that really change the course of your game drastically, but we hit on pretty much everything, and so we'll hope to keep that going in Week 11. My sleeper defense for Week 11 is the Cleveland Browns. Consensus has them at 17th, but they are my 5th ranked defense on the week. Over the last 6 weeks, the Browns rank first in PFF's pass rush productivity grade. They rank first in forced incompletion rate, and they rank 8th in opponent scoring rate. Now, they do give up some big plays, and they aren't really forcing a lot of turnovers, so that does ding them a little bit. However, I really don't think that this Saints offense is going to hit on a lot of big plays unless you believe that the performance you saw from Marquez Valdes-Scantling in Week 10 is something that is going to carry over going forward. Yes, the Saints did get a win in their first game with a new head coach and without Cris Olave, but there is data that supports that there is a big boost for teams in their first game under an interim head coach, and then that boost kind of goes away in the weeks ahead. I think the Saints are going to be in for a reality check without Cris Olave and Rashid Shaheed against this Browns defense. And even though the Browns could give up a few big plays here and there, I think that they're still in for a really solid performance this week, and that makes them a solid top 10 option for me. Before I get to my solid defense of the week, pause this video, comment below, let me know which defense you're playing in Week 11, or ask me any start-sit questions, and I'll go over those as the week goes on. My solid defense of the week is the Los Angeles Rams. Consensus has them at 8th, but I have them up at 3rd on the week. Now, the Rams lost on Monday Night Football, but it certainly wasn't their defense's fault. They held the Miami Dolphins under 250 yards. They forced 2 turnovers. They sacked Tua Tagovailoa 3 times. Over the last 6 weeks, they are the best defense in fantasy football, averaging 12.4 fantasy points per game. Now, a lot of that has to do with defensive touchdowns, which are hard to predict week in and week out. However, over the last 6 weeks, the Rams rank 2nd in pass rush productivity grade, 6th in turnover rate, and 14th in opponent scoring rate. So they do give up a few big plays, and they do give up points. But again, much like we talked about with the Browns earlier, I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue against Drake May and the New England Patriots. The Patriots have a really poor offensive line, and even though Drake May avoids sacks better than Jacoby Brissett did, this is a really good Rams pass rush, and I think they're going to be in his face. They'll take him down a few times. They'll force some bad throws. I think the Rams are a really safe play this week in a plus matchup. My stud defense for Week 11 is the Houston Texans. Consensus has them at 5th, and I have them as my 4th ranked defense for the week. A lot of this has to do with the Texans playing the Cowboys on Sunday night. We saw this Cooper Rush-led Cowboys offense, and it was a disaster. Cooper Rush threw the ball 23 times, but he had just 45 passing yards in Week 10. He did only take 1 sack, and he didn't throw an interception, so I guess that's a little bit of a silver lining. But he did fumble twice, and so I really think there's an opportunity here for the Texans defense against the Cowboys offense that doesn't really have a lot of firepower anymore. The Texans rank 18th in pass rush productivity over the last 6 weeks. However, they are tied for 2nd in turnover rate, and they are 5th in opponent scoring rate. So even if they don't bring a lot of pressure against Cooper Rush, I think they're going to make some big plays on defense in the turnover department. I think they're going to keep the Cowboys out of the end zone for a good portion of the game. And so I really think that makes the floor pretty solid here. And if the Cowboys turn to Trey Lance, which is something that is possible, I would even move the Texans up more because Lance is going to take far more chances than Cooper Rush will, and that could lead to more turnovers and big plays for this Texans defense. Before I get to the defense that I'm fading, you can hit that like and subscribe button below to get Pick 3 DST every single week, plus the rest of our football content and fantasy football content over at NBC Sports. The defense I'm fading for Week 11 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Consensus has them at 6th, and I have them down at 12th on the week. Now, 12th is not a stay-away ranking. You can still play the Chargers in deeper formats, but it is me suggesting that I don't really think the Chargers are in a spot where they're a locked-in top 10 defense this week. For a while, it seemed like the Chargers were an elite play, but I think over the last couple of weeks, we're seeing that a lot of that had to do with schedule. Over the last 6 weeks, the Chargers are averaging 9.6 fantasy points per game, so you do like to see that, and that's what makes them a playable defense. However, they rank 2nd in opponent scoring rate, 14th in turnover rate, and 21st in pass rush productivity. So a lot of the Chargers' fantasy points are coming because they're keeping teams out of the end zone, and a lot of that has had to do with their level of competition that they've faced. It's going to be harder against the Bengals offense that could also be getting T. Higgins back this week, but even without T. Higgins, with Burrow and Jamar Chase, and Chase Brown, who's looking really good over the last few weeks, this is a Bengals offense that is a real step up from the offenses that the Chargers have faced of late. So I think that Chargers' lack of turnover rate, the lack of pass rush, is going to come back to bite them a little bit more than it has in recent weeks. So I don't really think that they're a high ceiling play this week, and I'd be trying to find another option in shallower formats. That's going to do it for this week of Pick 3 DST. As a reminder, click the link below to get my full article, which I'll update as the week goes on. Like and subscribe to get this video and all of our NBC Sports content for the rest of the football season. And I'll check you back next week for another episode. Good luck on Sunday.